that make sense? The cycle?
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to get through everything. Get it right. All right, so a little bit about the broader deliberative democracy movement. I started creating this graphic at a conference. There's a university network for collaborative governance, probably about 8 years ago or so. And I was just fascinated with, I'm a communication professor, Wendy is as well. But at these deliberation conferences, there's people from all over the university, right? So I started kind of like looking around the room. Okay, they're from this discipline, they're from this discipline, and then just like most academics, every discipline has their own terms that they use with their own kind of literature. But it's interesting how deliberative democracy kind of is a nice home for all this of just ways of people connecting, right? I won't get into it now, but I've always been kind of a historian of higher ed. And it's interesting how, 150 years ago, higher ed was primarily kind of creating leaders and solving problems. But then kind of turn of the 20th century, we kind of followed the German model of higher ed's about producing new knowledge, right? And by producing new knowledge, it kind of compartmentalized, right? So everyone kind of got into their own subfield in a way. And then this deliberative democracy movement is kind of going back to that. We need all these pieces to solve problems, right? So I think a lot of academics, they get frustrated by the kind of the walls of their discipline in a way are really attracted to deliberative democracy. And I think one of the reasons communication is such a good, we've always been like that, right? Communication is always stole from everywhere, or borrowed from everywhere. So that's kind of the interdisciplinary. The first few times I showed this, I would get in trouble. Someone would walk up to me afterwards and say, I'm not on there, right? So I think it had like 8 slices. You see the slices get smaller and smaller. The font gets smaller. But hopefully I have most people on there now. But it's also extradisciplinary, which I'm pretty sure is a word I made up. But these are all organizations. These are community organizations that are out there, right? Both Winnie and I are very involved with the Kettering Foundation, which is one of these national organizations. Actually, they bring international people in all the time. It's a foundation that's basically, it's based on the question, what does it take for democracy to work as it should? And they're a convener. They bring people together to talk about it. It's interesting from an expert perspective. Kettering invented the automobile starter. So he's an inventor, invented a lot of different stuff, right? But he left all his money from all his inventions and his patents to start this foundation. Initially, it was a foundation to end world hunger. Right? But after the first 5-10 years, I think, they recognized that hunger wasn't an expert issue, right? They knew how to end hunger. It was a political issue, right? They had to figure out how to talk to each other, how to work. It wasn't a technical kind of thing, right? So it shifted its focus from how do we end world hunger to how do we improve democracy, right? Recognizing that's kind of the issue that you need to focus on, right? So here are just kind of this is the National Issues Forum Network, which is tied to Kettering. NIF is kind of one of the base models of this work that we'll be kind of playing with in particular. I like to pull this up again just to kind of show you the interdisciplinary nature. This is pretty old, but so some of them are in cooperative extension, which is kind of almost agriculture in some ways. Here's a community college. This one is in this one's in an honors program. Here's another community college. This one's actually a communication program. This one's in community and leadership development. This one's in the Office of Equity and Diversity. So these different centers, both Wendy and I center is kind of based somewhat in communication studies, but it's all over the university of working on this. I'm going to flip through these again. I do this to kind of show it's not just a couple of crazy professors doing this stuff. There's actually out there people doing this work, right? So NCDD is just a wonderful website. You have the NCDD engagement. It's the National Coalition for Dialogue and Deliberation. Public Agenda, there's the Kettering Foundation. Everyday Democracy, America Speaks. The UNDP, the United Nations Development Project, has this huge democratic dialogue program, particularly in South America, but also kind of in Africa and other places. But it's kind of the same notion. Instead of sending experts in to solve a problem, you send facilitators in to kind of help people really talk through and do these type of things, right? And create a different type of capacity in the community. It's a really cool website. They have a 300-page handbook that you can just download offline of just tools of helping people have tough conversations. Public Conversations Project, we're Uniting America, the American Democracy Project, the Democracy Commitment, the Democracy Imperative, University Network Collaborative Governance, right? All these kind of organizations, most of these have been created in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah. I think they're going to want, can we get these?
Yeah, I can give you the full, you don't have that on there.
Yeah, okay.
But I can give you the full, and that's one of the reasons the resource guide probably has all these listed in here, right?
In particular, the one
organizations.
with the handbook that you can download?
Yeah. It's if you Google UNDP Democratic Dialogue, you'll get to it. But yeah, I'll send you my full PowerPoint if you want. That has all the different slides.
Great, thank you.
I'll show you the paperwork.
Yeah, of course.
Right. All right, 15 minutes. So I did have extras of stuff.